Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be giving you the top 5 Battle Pass vehicles that we've received thus far in War Thunder. Well, at least they're what I consider to be my top 5, but bear in mind that I wanted to be as objective as possible in this video, even though it is ultimately a subjective matter. For example, there are several vehicles that I would personally consider to be my top 5 Battle Pass vehicles of all time, but they're not in this list, because I don't think they're as good as the vehicles that I put in this list, so if that makes any sense. That said, as always, please subscribe if you like content like this and comment with your top 5 Battle Pass vehicles. But either way, let's get into the video. And to start the list off at number 5, as a surprise even to myself, we'll start it off with a newcomer, the Bv155 B1. This vehicle is extremely unique in War Thunder and represents arguably the most unique vehicle released thus far in Battle Pass. It features ultra long wings for high altitude flight, huge outboard radiators for the engine, and a powerful armament consisting of two 20mm Mk1 cannons as well as a single nose-mounted 30mm Mk1 cannon. While not fast at low altitudes, which is where the vast majority of fighting will occur, it can leverage its absolutely devastating armament, along with its surprisingly fantastic maneuverability to gain many kills in a short period of time. This plane is of course not without weaknesses, as it is a large target, is slow at low altitudes, and has a difficult time making fine adjustments while getting into firing position. If you can get over these difficulties, this plane will be one of the most powerful at its currently low BR of 3.7. Now, I could easily see this being a 4.0 BR vehicle or higher, as it has great turning capability, as well as again heavy armament, which gives it a very unique playstyle amongst German planes, of which will allow people to pull off feats with the Bv155 that almost no other plane could consider doing. Also, it can climb to space. Now, with the first entry out of the way, let's get into number 4. And at the number 4 spot, I'm picking the Centurion Mk1. While slow, it has a very good set of traits that will allow it to dominate in any match that it's in, including having an excellent cannon with great accuracy, reload, and armor pen, as well as great frontal armor, especially in the turret. While its 20-pounder cannon is by no means the largest on the battlefield, coming in at a comparatively small 83.4mm at 7.3 BR, whereas tanks are beginning to clock in at 90mm, 100mm, or more, it can still penetrate upwards of 280mm of armor with its high-velocity APDS shell. Though it does not have explosive filler, it is almost always enough to guarantee a pen when hitting most tanks, outside of maybe some of the heaviest tanks out there in terms of armor, like the T10 or the Mouse, and even then, it still has a very good chance of going through. Regardless of its relatively small caliber and mediocre speed, the fast-firing and hard-hitting nature of this cannon, especially when combined with the fact that it has night vision and great frontal armor, all at a fair 7.3 BR, make this vehicle into arguably the most balanced Battle Pass tank yet, and almost definitely one of the best ones released. It isn't overly dominant, but it will rarely be the cause of you losing in a fight. For these reasons, the Centurion Mk1 sits comfortably at the number 4 spot on this list, again at least in my opinion. For number 3, we have the EBR 1963. This is a vehicle that exists both as a top 5 Battle Pass vehicle in War Thunder so far, and also outside of the top 5. This is Schrodinger's vehicle, at least in a way. When you're good, you're great. When you're not, you can get killed by any tank with an HMG, autocannon, you can get killed by planes, or even by a random kid hocking up spitballs at the EBR. This vehicle has borderline no armor, but is incredibly fast, has a very good cannon, and can destroy essentially every vehicle that it fights, up tier or otherwise. While other vehicles such as the aforementioned Centurion Mk1 is definitely a bit more balanced than the EBR 1963, it doesn't have the same ceiling as the EBR. But I suppose that it doesn't also have as low of a floor either. Regardless, in the right hands and in the right conditions, this vehicle, more than almost any other vehicle in-game, can dominate in a match. It is thoroughly impressive and will be the worst nightmare of your enemies, at least if you're not fighting Americans. For number 2, we have the F2G1 Super Corsair. This vehicle, believe it or not, was given as a free reward in the first season of Battle Pass, and currently sits at rank 4 and at 6.0 BR. Nowadays, decades, this would be unthinkable, but I guess we took the first few seasons of Battle Pass for granted because we didn't know any better. Regardless, the Super Corsair is just that, a super version of the F4U Corsair, with an incredible rate of climb, great top speed, good handling, and 6 50 cal HMGs that have 2,400 rounds of ammunition in total. This is one of the few prop planes that can hunt down a Ju-288C, although, as always, you should do so at your own risk. On top of that, it is very competent in ground RB in both a close air support and air cover role, being able to both drop bombs and fire rockets at enemies in the ground, while also going after enemy aircraft that are trying to kill your teammates. Even the 50 cals on the Super Corsair can do a fair amount of damage to ground targets as well. The F2G1 is truly one of the coolest prop planes in-game, and it is amazing that Gaijin decided to bring this into the game, not only as a free premium vehicle, but also as a Battle Pass reward. This is one of the cooler moves that Gaijin has ever done, and we didn't even know it at the point that it was released. Now, with the first 4 vehicles out of the way, let's go over some honorable mentions before we get into number 1. So the first honorable mention, the T10A. While many people might disagree with me here, and understandably so, I don't quite feel like this can be a top 5 vehicle, at least not for me. It's close, but the T10A is let down by having an only decent top shell, a poor reload rate at 7.7 BR, increasingly irrelevant armor, though still excellent when facing non-APF SDS and Heat FS ammo, and a stabilizer that stops working by the time it reaches about half of its top speed, so give or take around 20 or 25 kilometers per hour. It can still absolutely dominate, but if you miss a single shot, you'll find yourself praying that you don't get shot for the entire 15 to 20 second reload that the T10A has. Before you guys start saying that you hate me for this choice, consider this. It's almost took the spot of the EBR in this list, and probably should. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make the EBR and the T10A share the number 3 spot. Problem solved. So I guess at this point we have one number 5, one number 4, 2 number 3s, and one number 2, but that's not going to happen for the rest of this video. Now with that said, the second honorable mention, the Tehran 2. Though I love the Tehran 2 and I feel like it is very much overlooked, largely because of its BR, it has some major shortcomings, mainly in that its best shell is a heat shell. Though these are very powerful, they are often destroyed en route to the enemy, as they will blow up if they hit a tree, a fence, or even an insect, when your target is an enemy tank. If this had competent non-heat ammunition, I would for sure put it on this list as a top 5 vehicle. But for now, this is a great tank with good, though finicky, ammunition. And for the last honorable mention, we have the F6C10. The F6C10 is a French recon Mustang with Mustang D performance at Mustang CBR. This thing is absolutely fantastic and is incredibly overlooked in War Thunder. Unfortunately, it does not receive any secondary ordnance and only has 450 cals instead of the normal 6 that you would see in a Mustang, but it can still tear people apart. If it felt a little bit more special or even a bit more unique, I'd probably give it a spot in the top 5, but for now, it sits just barely on the outside looking in. What a fantastic plane, plus it has a Malcolm hood, so who doesn't love that? And now for the moment that some of you have been waiting for and the other people just kind of forgot that this video was still running in the background, for the number 1 spot, we have the PT-7657, the bane of all lightly and medium armored vehicles everywhere. The PT-7657 is the only possible conclusion for this list. This vehicle, though not necessarily impressive in terms of stats, with only 151 millimeters of maximum armor penetration and extremely light armor, has an autocannon that lobs 57mm shells that always seem to find a way into the enemy vehicle. The PT-7657 also features excellent mobility, a stabilizer, a laser rangefinder, and night vision. These features, when combined, form an absolute monster of a vehicle that makes everyone that has it love it and everyone that fights it hate it. It is the type of vehicle that people will hate to fight, no matter what tank they're in. Ultimately, the PT-7657 is one of the most powerful tanks at its BR, and even though it started off at only 7.0 BR, it is still extremely capable at its current BR of 7.7. Will it see another BR increase? Only time will tell, but for now, this vehicle is still an absolute beast, and in my opinion, is the most powerful Battle Pass vehicle ever released, at least so far. Now, just as a quick note here at the end of the video, like I said before, there are some tanks that I'd probably put in my own top 5 if I kind of was going off of my opinion alone and not just what vehicles are purely the best like I tried to do in this list. For example, I love the M6A2E1. I absolutely dominate with that. I've probably gotten more survivor medals with that than I have with any other tank, and I've only played maybe like 24 matches with it. So it is a fantastic vehicle. You also have other vehicles I'd put in the honorable mention, like possibly the SD KFZ 251/22, very powerful. But, you know, beyond that, the LVT 440 was excellent when it first got released at 2.3 BR, but now it's 3.7 BR and is still decent, but is not as ridiculous as it used to be. Also, just as a final note here, the reason why there are no ships is because Battle Pass ships have not been all that impressive. Squadron vehicle ships like the Karl Marx, the Shimakaze, as well as the SKR-7 and the HMS Liverpool even, have all been fantastic, whereas Battle Pass ships, at least in my opinion, thus far have not been great. Give me the USS Alaska or the Tirpitz as a Battle Pass reward, and then I'll include one of those in this list, but for now, ships just have not been all that special, but thankfully we've had a few special Battle Pass airplanes and tanks. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this list. Is it booty chatter? Is it awesome? Is it somewhere in between? What would you tweak about it? I'm really interested to see, and I'm sure most other people who watch this video are actually very interested to see what the comments are going to be like as well. So let me know in the comments below. Spread your opinion. Tell me if my list sucks and if I should just give up War Thunder YouTubing or just YouTubing in general, or if I should be given a promotion in Gaijin's eyes as a content creator. Either way, thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.